Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Layer Podcast, a series of conversations with designer founders about their careers in the design industry. My name is Antonio, and in this episode we go to Coimbra, Portugal, my hometown, to sit down with designer Adriano Esteves. Adriano is the founder and creative director of Burocratik, a Portuguese design studio that focuses on branding and web design, and that has won over 50 design awards for their work over the last couple of years. Learn how Adriano went from taking a chemical engineering degree to become a founder of 2 design studios, and how his love for design started alongside his love for music, and more specifically metal music. I hope you enjoy. All right, well, first of all, hello Adriano, how's it going?
Hi, all good, thank you.
Welcome to the podcast. And thank you very much for having me here. We're in the Burocratik office in Coimbra, Portugal.
Yeah.
It's been a while ever since I've been here for the last time. It's been, a couple of years now.
7 years, maybe more.
Maybe more. So for context, I used to work for you. You were my boss for a couple of months.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, and thanks for that.
Yeah.
Sorry for leaving you after 6 months.
No.
We never really discussed that, so.
No, but we can discuss now.
But yeah, so a bit of kiss-ass moment. Burocratik was at the time one of my favorite design companies in Portugal, and to be honest, it still is. You guys, especially the digital output that you guys have, it's definitely one of my favorite, and I was completely over the moon when I worked with you guys. But your best years were definitely to come, and I think now it's what you guys been doing. It's the work has been really, really good. But I kind of want to kick it off with a bit of a start. Like, tell me about you when you were a kid. Just I kind of want to understand if this design bug was in you from the start or not.
Not. I was the worst guy drawing. I could draw shit. So design was never something that was in my radar. I loved music, and I loved other stuff. I like chemical engineering. That was my choice of profession, but design was never on my radar. I would say that I went into design because of music, because of the layouts, because of the logos. So I was into branding without knowing, and that was my starting point in design. Scanning the logos from metal bands and all that, and learning how to isolate the logo from the rest of the layout. That was my beginning.
So wait. So you literally studied the metal band logos? So those really cool, weird logos that are really hard to read then?
Yeah, not some are readable. But bands like Metallica and Sodom and stuff like from the 80s, those were my likings at the time. So I collected logos. I loved the logos, the iconography, the impact that it had in a cover. So my starting point in layouts was the logo, and still up to today, it's my favorite thing to do logos. It's my stuff that I really enjoy, to make a good logo.
It's really interesting, especially because I don't know, so much of it, so much of your output lately has been on web design. And you guys been getting awards after awards on that, but we'll get into it in a bit. There was no inclination to design ever in your life up until the time you bumped into music, right?
Yeah, so I had a CD player, but I didn't have a computer, so music was the entry point for everything. Yeah. And when I started noticing, other than the logos, the layouts, especially with work from Vaughan Oliver from 4AD, or Dave McKean, especially for metal bands, because it was my music back then. So all the layouts, all the compositions were really appealing to me, and from there to typography was quick. I started noting typography and collecting fonts and all that. So I was doing my reports for the engineering part, but I started enjoying more the layout process, the design of it, the reactors to draw the schemes and everything. So that was basically it. I was on school, on university, and I started enjoying to do design.
Did you ever work as an engineer then?
I just had an experience in Portugal in paper industry, 6 months, and it was my last point on engineering.
It didn't really make your LinkedIn, did it?
No. I started my first company in '99, and since then I'm working on this business.
Okay, that's it's amazing. Like I know that you are a really, really active music lover.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like your style as well, and I actually got to meet a couple of new bands or find out a couple of new bands per your recommendation, like Tishy Amore, pretty much Russian Circles maybe. So a couple of good bands that at Roll Automati as well.
Okay,
they're amazing. So and on music then, I know that you also stumbled into a design, and I'd like to. A design of a big metal band in Portugal, probably like the greatest, Moonspell. Yeah. And I know that in '96 you designed their website.
Yeah.
Where were you? What were you doing? How did it happen?
So I was at university in '95, and the internet was just starting on university, and it was a medium that was completely new to me and had a strong appeal. At the same time, I went to a concert. The band came to Coimbra, so Countess Químicos, and then I went there and said, why not doing a website for these guys? There were no pages in Portuguese for anything. It was really the beginning of the internet.
So this is '95, right?
'95, yeah, May '95. I think only Madre Deus had one page from a fan in university in Lisbon also. So that was it. I met them and I said, look, you guys need a website. Your work is very good. You need to promote it and have a home page, an internet page. And the guy said, cool, let's call it Infernet.
And that name stuck.
Yeah, it was Infernet since '96. So I worked like 4 or 5 months on the website, learned everything from scratch, from scanning the pages because I had no computer. It was really the beginning of everything. So the university had a Macintosh and a scanner, and I scanned everything, the posters and the covers and all that. And it was the beginning of the learning process of what works, what doesn't work in terms of programming and development and all that, really from scratch. Because on engineering you have some basis of programming languages, like Fortran in our case. So it was just something that I'm going to learn this, and I did.
How much of it was you trying to impress the band?
It was not to impress the brand. It was an opportunity to learn new stuff and to understand the potential of the internet. And to tell you the truth, the Moonspell was not the first band that I thought of it. It was Anathema, because it was the logo that I really enjoyed in terms of typography, from the branding obsession. And I met Moonspell first, so they got served. Yeah,
that's amazing.
But it was not to impress the band. It was something like everything that I still do, to learn stuff and to see how that goes.
And after that, a couple of years after that, you guys kept working together. With you having a bit more experience, having a set company, is that relationship still going?
Yeah, still going. We stopped doing layouts for them in 2005, I think, when we started Burocratik as a company full time, and they went with another designer. But even the logo that they have today, it's mine. So I still do stuff for them, a lot less, but we still work together.
That's an awesome story, and something that I don't think I ever asked you properly, so it's really good to hear. So okay, so you're at uni. You're not really loving chemical engineering. You start liking logos from music. You start wanting to do like CD covers and all that.
Yeah.
And then you call yourself an accidental entrepreneur because you've founded 2 companies, right? So when did you become a proper paid designer? When did it become a job for you?
In 97. So in 96 I released the first website. In 97 I got a job for the Centro de Computação Gráfica here in Coimbra, doing CD-ROM in Macromedia Director.
Nice.
So
nice and old school.
that was So that was the first opportunity to do commercial stuff for the Expo 98, a kiosk for Expo 98. So that went good. And in 99, 1 year later, I started the first company with 4 chemical engineers. So we were 5 chemical engineers, partners of a company doing websites. Yeah.
So chemical engineering isn't something that people really like that much.
No, it's a very good degree. It gives you a lot of room to decide. We were 5 that really enjoyed the internet, so it was a good experience. We went up to 2001, I think, and then we were bought by another company, and 50% of the people stayed there. The other 50% went to other projects.
So how old were you when you were bought?
As a company?
Yeah. So how old?
I think
you personally.
2 years as a company.
Yeah, and you personally?
I have no idea, but I would like maybe. I have no idea.
All right.
It was 2000. Okay, I was still less than 30.
So that's pretty. So how did you get a company bought? What happened there? Because that sounds good. You guys were doing definitely something
we were
right.
doing not great work, good work, solid work, especially in terms of platforms. The development was very good. The designer was still learning how to do it, but the commercial part was terrible. Didn't work. We couldn't get new clients. So in the short run, things went degraded, right? So there was a company that needed our expertise and know-how. So basically, they bought the team to do a big project. So that was it. It was better for us that I really wanted to continue on this industry without thinking on salaries. That's one thing that it's always good.
Yep.
So to me, it was good. It was an opportunity to spend the next 3-4 years learning without concerning on how to get paid and all that.
Okay, so it was a safe option for you to kind of step it up and grow a bit, and then you stayed with Media Primer for a while, right? A couple of years.
I think 3 years. Yeah.
And then what happened?
Then I came to a point that the things that I was doing were not really relevant. I was just doing stuff that didn't work for me. So I thought I could do better again and try something different. Yeah. So I quit my job, quit my company because it was there on their behalf, and started doing freelancing and see how that would go for some months. My idea was, let's try this 1 year and see if this gets somewhere.
Sticks, yeah.
Yeah, and in the beginning was a lot on doing logos. That I still think it's the best way to earn money in design, because you do it fast and furious and you send the invoice and get paid. Websites are not like that.
Yeah, websites are beasts.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started as a freelancer, and then when you were trying out for years, I'm assuming, if we're here sitting in your office and you have a team of 10 people, it went well.
It went well, yeah. I think today we do very good stuff, and I'm pleased of what we released to the client. And
all right, show off.
Yeah. No.
But when did you decided that you needed to start a proper company and would stop being a freelancer? When did you hire your first employee?
So we were doing small works from branding to small websites, and up to a point we started getting more stuff, more opportunities, more projects, and one of them demanded us to be a company. So we couldn't get it if we were freelancers. So that's why I say I'm an accidental entrepreneur, because I only made the company because I had to. It was a good starting point to get more people with me. There were some money that I could get to pay some salaries and start the company. So I did that in 2015.
That's again
2005, not 15.
Yeah, yeah. You wish. It was 2015, but it's funny. This is just the second episode of the podcast, and I'm already detecting a pattern in these questions, because the last guest said exactly the same thing. We just created a company when we were asked for an invoice, and it had to be from someone and not from a couple of kids. So it's amazing that you don't think about starting a company. You just think about doing the work that you want to do, and then everything else just has to happen.
I also think that's a problem on designers. We want to do stuff. We don't think on the other stuff, the finances and all that. So I think that's a problem of people liking to work so much. And I think designers, if someone is a designer, you like very much what you do, because otherwise you will quit pretty soon.
That's true. Yeah. We're very impatient. I do think that designers are, I don't know, for the most of it, they're all kind of kids stuck in a certain age. They're all kind of like teenagers that never really grew up. So you can be 60, but you still refuse to grow up entirely. So that's why you want to do this type of stuff, and that's why always bureaucracy is a pain in the ass, and paperwork, as you were saying. But I don't see that as a bad thing at all. No. On the contrary.
No, it is not.
So in that process, so now you have a full-fledged company going, you have clients, you have employees. How did you change from being a designer? Because you owned the company before, but you were with friends, so I'm assuming it was like a more relaxed environment. There was not a lot of pressure, but all of a sudden you're the single founder of a company, right? Then you need to take care and responsibility of all the decisions. How was that learning curve? Which I know personally that for a fact that it was a long one, and one that you don't really love.
Yeah, we took probably four years of getting not much money for the project, so I had to do a lot of compromises on myself. I invested everything on this, and I didn't get paid for the first 3 years. That was hard.
Yeah,
you have to be fully convinced that you want to do this. Okay, so I already had the trial and error, and I really want to do this. It was something that I invested everything, time, money, everything. And it was the only way to do it, because I think if you don't do it, you easily quit and go and do something else. So the learning curve was terrible. I think the curve is still going. I'm still learning and know how to deal with all this.
Hopefully not so steep now, more like an angle where you're still learning.
I still feel it's steep, very steep. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because when you change clients, and we now are working with bigger clients, you feel the same pains. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
A company with 4 months or 400 years, it's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So the struggle is the same. We have more experience and know how to deal with things, but it's still, every project is a pain in the ass, basically. That's it. There's except branding, I think. Again, branding is something that you do more easily. It's more easy to convince, at least on my. But all the rest, it begins picking with strategy and speaking with another stuff that it's very important for the brand. So you can't just do it because it's fun, right? You need to convince a lot of people that this is the right thing to do. So it's harder. So the curve is still going somewhere, but I'm visibly more tired than I were 10 years ago, but still going.
That's interesting that you say that, because I always respected branding so much, mostly because I'm not a branding designer. And it's I don't know, compared to a website is easy to have mistakes or like flaws, because it's so big that people don't pick up on that. But a branding is something that has to be precise, because it's going to be on the wall, it's going to be on paper, it's going to be on devices, it's going to be everywhere. But it's one piece of work. So once you have the client, because I think it's all at the end of it, it's always about us designers kind of convincing the client about what we believe is the best solution, and having their agreeing with us. And that, I think it's always that butting heads with the client, like, oh, we should do this. Oh, but I like this. But is it about your taste or about your clients and the market? But it's interesting that you see branding so much easier, and I think it might be just because of the size of the project. And now that you mentioned branding as well, for the last, so I know that you've always done a lot of digital work. When I was here a couple of years back, I did an interactive CD-ROM as well for an exhibition, for a museum. In the museum, you also did the installation, right? So all the exhibition stuff there. But you've done always a bit of digital, but a lot of branding as well. And I've seen that over the last couple of years, there's been a bigger focus on websites than on branding. Is branding gone completely, or?
No, we have two problems. The first one is that we don't have a website, so you don't know what we do on branding because I don't put it out.
Okay.
That's the biggest problem. The other thing is that maybe 70% of the work that we do, we always do branding, complementary work, like picking a typeface or adjusting the logo just a little bit. Usually we can do it. The website that we're doing now is the first one that we can't do it, because it's a logo for an air company, and it's everywhere on the planes and stuff. So you can change even 1 millimeter. That's the logo forever. But for example, Panic, the company that 2 years ago came to us to do the website, we started with the branding because the logo was terrible. And it's a very important brand, and it was not easy, but everything starts with the branding. You need to get that right and go from there and do the rest. So branding will never, I say most of the times that we do digital branding because we have the same concerns on the brand as on the website. So it's a concern of quality and cohesion between everything.
Yeah, that's really good, and it's good that you can also do that. But do you ever have to compromise and probably not get paid as much for a project?
Yeah, sure.
Because you're doing the logo out of passion and not so much out of money.
Yeah, it depends on the client. Some of them don't understand what we are doing. Even Panic is a good example. When we decided to do a rebranding, the first proposal was refused. The second one was okay, let's do this. And I did another version without them knowing, a final version. So the client doesn't know what you're doing. He won't put the two logos next to each other and say, this logo was not the one that I said. So there are some stuff that I consider an offer is the cohesion between everything. And to me, when the brand is finished, if I have to hire a type designer to do it, I do it. Yesterday I removed a logo in Arabic that we did, and we did the Arabic, and it's nonsense because we don't know shit about Arabic, right? So the client that reads Arabic said it's fine. But I hired a type designer specialized on Arabic to finish it, because we own that to the client, and you only do a logo once, especially if it's well done. Of course, it has a validity of some years because brands now change more. But in branding, I always look at the problem and try to nail it as if it will hold in time without the need to change it.
That's really interesting. And again, I think especially in branding lately, I've seen more and more. We've all seen more and more that there's like a simplification of everything.
Yeah.
If you have serif typeface in your logo, it's going to sans serif.
Yeah.
And so, especially luxury fashion of last year, everything changed.
Yeah, I consider that a good thing. Not for the brands that did the rebranding, but for the next ones, because
for the next designers,
designers will have to do better and show why the logo is better than those. So I consider that's not a problem.
In a way, yeah, it's kind of like they're creating they're messing the logos, but they're creating a lot of opportunities for like in 5 years they'll look back and think, oh crap, everything looks the same.
Yeah.
And that's again, it's an interesting thing. Everything is looking the same. The brands, they all look the same. They all use a very similar typeface. They're going for the same minimalistic approach. While a couple of years back, a lot of logos went for like a bit of shine because it was the trend. Yeah. How do you take that? Do you see that as a big issue? Does it bother you?
It doesn't bother me. I think some years ago, when I saw a brand that did a lousy branding move, I would get pissed and say, how the fuck is this possible? Right? Nowadays, I know how things work. And I say that design never wins. It's not the design. That's not a design problem. Yeah. It's a strategy. It's they need to change, nothing more. So it's not the designer that did that. There's a lot of things that pushes designs to those solutions.
All the studies that they have that these brands convert more. They're more attractive to a young audience from 18 to 35 probably.
Yeah. It's funny if you think in the beginning of typesetting, you had Helvetica and Accident Grotesque, and everything was just those two typefaces. Yeah. And several decades now, we are doing the same thing. So it's not a problem. It's a cycle. And I think there's a lot of opportunities in type design, and then you see a lot of good type design nowadays. On the last years, small foundries doing kick-ass jobs.
I think that's one of the good things about the internet and indie businesses is that you start to see a lot more quality coming from smaller designers that probably wouldn't have the opportunity to or the exposure.
For sure. So I think the blood is on small studios and small foundries, and if a brand picks up those smaller studios, they will get noticed pretty soon. I hope, right? So yeah. But it's a concern to see everything, especially on branding. There was an image like last week, another one. I don't know which one was, and you see everything looking the same.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Just everything was black and white, and Burberry looked the same like a lot of them. Yeah. But yeah, web design. You guys been doing web design ever since the beginning, I'm assuming as well, right?
Yeah, I started. The first thing that I did was a website. Yeah. When we did the first company, we also were a web design company. When I started Burocratik, I started in branding and do some catalogs and print stuff, editorial stuff. But websites were what people wanted. They didn't have websites. They have a brochure from 5 years. They didn't have a website.
Logo. So it's 20 years old.
I realized when I started the company that it had to go to web design again, because people were asking for websites, and I could do everything else for those companies that wanted websites. So that's the reason. I think the websites are the peak of the iceberg of everything.
So is it like almost like a channel to do the rest of the work?
Yeah, it's a good opportunity to do the rest. I don't think that there's a lot of agencies that do everything, because that's not normal. I think they are specialized on type design, on brand design, on campaigns, on websites. We do a mix of everything, because that's what I want to do. I don't want to be just just doing
that. That's kind of what I feel, and I like that, because I just saw in the paper, on one of those tables, you're doing like a bag of crisps. Mm-hmm. So the packaging for that, you've done labels for wine bottles. you've done websites, you've done logos. I don't even know what else you've done, but it's already you could have like 3 different companies just doing these things, very specific, and some do, but it feels like it is your company, and it feels like you do the things that you want to do. So it's your playground in a way.
Yeah, it has to do with the type of clients that come to us. And when we do something in food, now after that we have a lot of stuff in food. So it's seasonal. It's not something, I wouldn't do packaging a lot more than just 1-2 works per year, because it's something very tedious and it involves a lot of stuff like illustration and but I could not say no, because we did the website for the company of crisps, and the packaging was very, very outdated. And when they said we need to think on this, I said, why not? I can think on that. And they were talking with an agency from Lisbon that just does this type of stuff, and we did it, and we won because when we do something, I really give everything to it, even in the proposal terms, which is not always a good idea. So we go from one point to the other. We also did print catalogs for THV. It's not our editorial is not our thing. It's something that I always try to not
stay
to
away
do.
from.
Yeah. And we did, and it was a lot of fun. It was probably the best project of the last years, because it's really something that I had high expectations in terms of materials, in terms of everything, and the client was ready to trust. It's always good to do stuff out of the box. And it came out excellent. We won several awards with it. I had just received an email of another award for that, which is pretty good, but they say that we can't say anything about it. But yeah, it's when you have new contacts and new clients that are ready to do your thing. That's the best scenario for a designer, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing I appreciate, is that you and even the way you were talking just now, you don't see the design just as a means to an end. You're just not doing it for the money. It's not a commercial opportunity. You're doing it because it's something you literally like to do, and it's because the clients need to. So you just mentioned that they needed the packaging. So it's almost like you feel like you need to correct this because it's and I appreciate that.
It's not in that sense, because again, after 20 years in this business, I think that design can't save shit. Design can't save a business.
Yeah.
So it's not fundamental for them to have a nice piece most of the times. But if I see context to do a good project and give them what they need, not what they are asking for. If I see that context, I'll take it.
That's amazing. Still, that's really good. And like it might not save. It won't save a failing company. Good ideas do save a company, and business moves, not design. But in this mission of trying to make everything prettier and beautiful, I appreciate the spirit. Which is a good one.
When you quit, when you don't have that spirit, you start slacking and you just start quitting.
One thing that I've personally been struggling with over the last couple of years is, as I've been focusing more and more in digital and product design, which is, its nature is to be boring. It's about the details, and a lot of times it's about more dealing internally with the company rather than actually designing. The time I spend designing is not that big compared to the time I spend having emails or calls or whatever. But when you were mentioning the catalog that you did, and something that you hardly ever do, but it was like one of the best projects, I kind of remembered, it made me think of those times where I was at university and I just had to do something new. So I had to learn new software, I had to research new things. And it's that thirst of like learning how something works and doing it.
It's the opposite of the feeling of the branding that is looking all the same. So when we do a website, and we never do the same website and never do the same ideas, we always try to do something different. And that's partially because that's my DNA. That's what I think. I think that's the main reason why we are not rich. That's the main reason why we don't have money, because we spend a lot of resources on stuff. But it gives you a new blood. It gives you a new feeling of doing something different. And I try to mix mediums like the Copke website that we released some months ago. I knew that I had to work with music more than just a background music. So I decided to contact a musician that could give me the separations of a specific song that I knew that he had, because that's my hobby. Music is my hobby, and I collect musicians and stuff very different and very connected to multimedia. That was my beginning of the last 10 years. Also, I have a blog that I collect stuff like that. So to work with music and integrate it into the experience and into the flow of the website was something that it's hardly not done, because music is something that you mute right on a website. But to this website in particular, the experience was all about time and all about staying at least 3 minutes or 4 minutes in the browser. So I had to and did it. And I really think that doing stuff differently is key to
nailing it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like for the last couple of years, again, as I mentioned previously, you've been focusing a lot, at least from what I see as an outsider, been focusing a lot on web design, and you just don't do a normal corporate website. It's not a static page. It's always a very engaging experience, and it's not necessarily a campaign website. It's more a presentation of a company. It's a website you go once and you spend 10 minutes tops, but you probably won't go back. But you know about this company now. And when did you start focusing more on that?
I would say on the last 4 years. I realized that you couldn't do websites just expecting that the client send you the photos and the videos and then you do the rest. So we realized that only custom content for websites were the way to go. And it was a struggle on finding the right people to do video, the right people to do photography, that you could recommend to the clients and say, look, we work with this guy and this guy. It's out of budget. It's something that it's not a website, but it's content for a website. And we took like 2 years to understand how to do it. And the last websites for the last 2 years, I think, are something that came out from that decision to do content specific for websites. And that's up to find the right people, the right copywriter, the right stuff, the right people that understand what they have to do.
Because you need to find people that do music, audio, effects, video, photography, all that, because that's what essentially, the website you're creating is just a container for all that content and the way that you present it. And I really like them, and well, you've been getting awards after awards lately, so I think you guys are doing something right. But budget-wise, is that always within budget?
No, most of the times it's not, because when you do a budget, you don't have an idea of what you will do, you can say that you need 4 musics for a website. You can't. So there are some clients that understand this segmentary invoicing as we find new needs. That's 1% of the client. 99% of the clients say we don't need this. Even for Copke, the brand for Porto, when we were finishing the website, we said we really need a voiceover for this, because we have the music, we have the titles, but you have the headphones, so let's do a voice for this. And the voice needed 2 languages, so it was extra expense that they say no, we don't have money for it. So even on that case, it's out of the budget, and we do it because the client see the results, and on the next interaction we can get that money back. Usually that happens because the clients see the value on it. But of course we are talking about Portuguese clients, and it's different from big brands, right?
They have tighter budgets, even big brands. So, but that's an interesting strategy move where you kind of take the hit on the costs for the content, but then you prove the worth, and and then they kind of, well, they have to admit that you were right.
Yeah, but we don't do it so that they say.
Yeah.
We do it because it's the right thing for the project, right? And most of the times it's something I wouldn't live with that website without voice. So to me, I would always see the website and say, there's a voice missing here. So I couldn't live with it, and we did, and there are more recent stuff like that that the client doesn't need to understand what it takes to do the website, because it's our part, right? But it's a struggle.
Again, I'm sure you're getting there. You just need to, I don't know, keep getting bigger clients, understand that, which is always
and you learn with all this, and now you can put, I need this for music, I need this for, because the clients they don't want black boxes, they want to understand the costs of everything. So that's a problem, but yeah, we are getting better clients, and each interaction is easier in that terms, but it's never that easy. It's just different. It's different.
As you were saying, it's always a pain in the ass, right?
It is.
So back to the awards, which is something we need to discuss. I was counting on. Well, first of all, congratulations. I've stopped saying congratulations online because it's I need to say it every 3 weeks or every 2 months. No. So that's why I did. In the beginning, I was kind of, oh wow, this is amazing. These guys are getting awards. Now I'm just not surprised anymore. All right.
Yeah.
What's new? But I counted on the websites, and just on the ones you have for web design, you have 70 awards listed there.
Yeah.
Which is a fair big number.
Yeah.
How did it happen? Do you now know how to win awards? You have a formula?
No, there's no formula for the awards. We know the potential of a website, of a piece, but it's impossible to say if we win or not with it. We have I have good feelings. That's part of the process, but there's no formula, because it really depends on the amount of other websites that are on the same spot, right? Usually we win awards with the websites, and I would say like 90% of the websites that we say that we do. We do a lot of websites and submit them to the awards, but there are very few that we don't promote. For example, last year we had one website that we didn't show from all the others, right?
Yeah.
So everything that we do is not awarded, but could win something.
Yeah.
Right.
And do you use that to convince clients? So, for instance, probably the first ones you were doing it because you were seeing if you could do it for your own personal gain as well. Mm-hmm. But it's something that gives you recognition, and it's something that gives you some exposure.
The website, the awards give you visibility. Basically, that's the main thing. I would say that when we win an award, for example, a WWW award, the next 3 weeks we have people asking, I want to work with you, how much does it take to work with you, and that stuff. So it's a flag. You are among the best studios doing good work, and people start to looking at those spots. Brands are really looking at those platforms for agencies to do their stuff, and not the big old agencies from always. So it's a good place to find new blood.
And so do you think that now it's easier to convince, because you win these awards because you're creating these good experiences with content and audio and video, is it easier now to convince some clients that if you do that work, they might get a lot more visibility on their website
Yeah.
based on the previous work and website
We now
awards
have
that you got?
we now have data to say that if a website wins an award, you have like from 8 to 15k people per day. So that's something that you can pay on Facebook or Instagram. So, and of course, the target is, I would say that for the port, a lot of people don't drink port, and they probably never bought port, will bought. But it's something that gives them awareness. People know that Copca is the oldest wine house from Portugal, right? And they have this cool website, and that's tangible. That's something that is tangible. In sales, I have my doubts. I always say to the client that I really can't connect the investment that they are doing on the website into sales. That's nonsense.
Yeah, it's really hard unless you're selling through the website.
Yeah,
I don't think you can ever do that.
Yeah, what I say is that you cannot not invest on it. You have to, otherwise it will be worse than the others, right?
Of course,
you're not on the same level, and it's up to you if you want. And we have good clients. For example, there is a company that sells steel from metal, right? And they didn't need a website by Bureau, and they insisted on having it. So that's cool, because people understand that there are benefits on having something very well done. So yeah, websites is very important. Awards is very important because it gives you visibility.
Yeah.
And it's not a race. People say that we do everything for the awards, but that's not. It's really the end of everything. We do our work, and in the end, we submit it to the awards and see.
So I kind of feel like even without the awards, you'd still be doing exactly the same type of work.
Probably, yeah. Because I started doing good stuff. I really want to do a good logo. I really want to do a good website. Now I am doing it for brands, and the feeling is the same. And the struggle is the same, but in the end, when we deliver something, it should be good. That's not original, but good, because that's another struggle.
Okay, being original, yeah. Good luck with that, anyone.
Yeah.
And so you do have a lot of food clients now. So you've had some crisps, some fish, exactly. I forgot about that one.
Oil, cheese, and stuff like that. Yeah.
All right, so that's a lot of clients from that industry. How did that come about, and how do you go about finding your clients?
So when we started, but from 5 years ago to this point, we went to from IT. We had a lot of clients from the IT business, and we did like 3 or 4 websites for IT companies. After 3 websites for IT companies, you're done. You are doing the same thing over and over. So when we had new clients from food, from chips, which was the industry that we did first, it was a good change, because food is something that it's simpler to present on a browser. You with good photography, and it's a product, right? Yeah. It's not something that you have to make all the universe around it and explain why this consultant is better than that consultant. Because it's the same shit, right? Like I say, the only thing that for the consultant, I said, you're always the same. Accenture is the same as Deloitte and the same as you. So we have to find how to promote you, to give your identity on the website, right? Yeah. For the products, it's easier, right? It's something more tangible and not as abstract. How the clients come to us, I have no idea, because in this almost 15 years as a company, we never looked for clients. The clients always came to us. We had no commercial effort whatsoever.
That's the feel. That's kind of the feeling I had. But that's really good. Like it's so you never literally had to go out and just try to find clients or approaching cold calling.
I don't want people to knock my doorbell and sell me a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
I don't want a vacuum cleaner. If I want it, I will go to a store and buy it. I think design is the same thing. If we sell design to a company, say I don't want design. I have this designer. I have this agent. So I think as a selling point to our business, it's very important that people understand that they need us, right?
Yeah.
They see what we do and say, look, this company is something. If we need a website, let's talk with him. And I think that's word of mouth. It's the only way to sell design. So soon I realized that I didn't need a commercial selling us, because what we do takes time, and if we have a commercial selling websites, he will sell like 10 websites, and we don't do 10 websites per year. So we have to cherry pick the best opportunities, and that's how we went from the beginning. We always have good websites. We are now finishing one, and we are deciding with 3 proposals, and we see which one will enjoy the most and see more potential. See, one is for the fashion industry, the other is for an auto industry. So it's
an auto industry would be good. You can make really nice, sexy auto. Yeah. Well, it depends on what they're doing, but
it's a fine brand. It's a very good brand. It's a top brand, but again, each industry has its problems, from client to client, we go this way because selling design is not
the way.
Doesn't work. It does work for clients, for agencies that have a product and they can sell them to 15 or 20 clients, but that's not our core.
I think it's that you're right. If you're having people coming to you, that's one of the things. It removes one of the barriers, which is they already want to work with you. And they trust you and they like you. Exactly. And it's a very privileged position to be in. Like half of the process is there, so now it's just doing the creative process really.
And the other part is when a company, for example, COP came to us because of the awards. They investigated the companies that could do it, and when we say, okay, so you know what we do, so you have to trust us on this, and mainly that's connected to the time that it takes to do a website. Usually you give an expectation of 3 to 6 months, depending on the complexity of it, and it usually takes 1 year from the beginning to the end. So now I am clear to the customers. I say, look, the estimate says 5 months, but this will take 1 year to do because we do other stuff, right? So that the expectation of having a very good website in just 2 months, it's still something that I'm struggling to even of the website that we will start developing in January. It's the 3rd website for the same brand, and they still don't know how this works. It's the 3rd website, and they say, "Look,
we've been through this. Come on."
And usually we say when we finish the design, we will take 2 months to do it, and we have exactly 2 months to finish this. And they say, "I need this in 1 month," and it's not possible.
God, we need to move on from clients, otherwise it's going to be just client fest, because there's so much to talk about clients, especially bad. Even though we love clients, I'm sure.
You can't live without them.
Well, Do you miss Flash?
Flash?
Yeah.
No. Flash was a problem to us.
You used to do a lot of Flash design.
We did 2 websites that were good in Flash, but the problem when we started, we didn't have developers that were like with the mindset of engineering and as a software developer, right? So I was improvising on being a designer. I had people improvising doing development. One of them was also a chemical engineer. So Flash had a mindset that to us was not easy. It has a lot of constraints. So we decided to go the other way around with HTML, and we did the right decision. But
you jumped on it a bit earlier than a lot of people, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember you were doing a lot of interactive stuff with even with JavaScript and CSS way before the new version of HTML5 came out.
Yeah, it was a decision from the developer that we had, so the merit is on him.
Yeah.
But we on the company, on Media Primer, the company that I work for, we have some projects that had accessibility as a key. So we had a lot of how can I say, we could do stuff that was relevant not for the most part of the websites, but we specialized on stuff that was specific, very site specific. So, and he also saw the trend, and the trend was to go that way. Yeah, and Flash was a problem. There were some developers that were good, but were in Lisbon. We had no closed developers that could do good stuff. So no, I don't miss Flash. Don't miss Flash. We still Flash did stuff that we still can't do it nowadays.
Yeah.
But very few stuff. The main thing that I miss about Flash is you do one website. Now we do like 10 websites.
But I'm assuming that's mostly because of responsive devices.
Yeah, that's the main problem.
It's I think it kind of changed the industry a bit. Mobile phones definitely changed the output, but I think for a good way. But that's actually a good question as well. Is how do you see the websites that you do? They're almost like a movie. They're an experience. You need to watch them.
Mm-hmm.
You need to use them and visit them and on a desktop computer. But I know they're all responsive.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see that, since the trend is going completely on like mostly use of phones?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that those experiences still have a place on the phone?
Yeah, they have a place, but it depends of. There are some agencies that are mobile first. We are mobile last. We always say that, but it depends on the client. We had a client from Amsterdam that needed a platform, and that's mobile first. Right?
Yeah.
It's not, but the website we still worked with to explain the product and all that. So it depends, but mobile versions to us it's always a reduced experience compared to the desktop, and it should be. The mobile version can't really compete with other stuff, so it should be streamlined to be as most focused as possible.
You don't want to have like a full screen video on the phone if you're outside and you don't want to use all your data, and you don't have if you don't have headphones, you're not going to be able to listen to
so
music.
It's a much more direct access to content.
Yeah, that's good. And again, like I think that's definitely the way of doing it, having like a really nice full-blown experience when possible, and just giving like the bare minimum and keeping it still engaging and in line with the visuals that you're creating. So yeah, you guys been getting awards again. 70, I can see them from here. It's a lot of them.
Most of them are in Porto, and here you only have the worst.
Oh really?
Yeah.
God,
the good ones are in Porto.
And you need to pile them because you don't even have space for them. That's how. Can we expect Burocratik to go international sometime soon?
We hope so. I think next year we will try to do that step. I think now we are ready to go into a new horizon, because Portugal is not the best place to work in design.
I think it's not big enough for you, to be very honest.
I would say it's the mindset of we have very few years of culture on knowing what design can do for your business.
Yeah.
I think here people get to a point that say our website sucks because this competitor from other country has this amazing website. We need a good website, and to do amazing websites, the struggle is not just the website, it's everything. It's the mindset, it's everything.
Yeah, it's having that person in place that
it's
sees the value.
It's the biggest problem in Portugal, it's that small detail of design is almost everything. It's not just the packaging. We need to understand your business and your ideas, and we had this year we had a project on the food industry for doing labels, where we did everything without knowing how the client would sell it, who would buy it, the amount. So
wait, no market research or no insights?
Zero. So it's not common.
Yeah.
It's the worst that could happen to.
Yeah.
But I think that's the main problem here in Portugal. People don't understand that everything needs to be focused until putting a design studio to build upon it.
Yeah, that's a shame, really. But again, as you were saying, bad clients are everywhere, and it doesn't matter if they're small, if they're big, or if they're Portuguese or English.
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely a different culture, different respect in different markets, and more opportunities as well, which is just what I personally want to see you guys is like getting a bit bigger and getting those bigger budgets as well.
Yeah.
To make because the stuff that you're selling, I can definitely see that in hitting bigger brands as well.
Yeah. Hope so. I think that's the obvious step for next year. This year we are finishing the website for the air company, and it's also good. It's a project that is completely different from what we have doing up till now, and I think the next step will be more not trusting that the clients will come to us and filter a bit more and understand what we want to do, but that's pretty much in January. We'll see how this goes. The problem is that we have a lot of stuff doing, and it's a bit much like companies. The strategy doesn't work because is clear because you have to do other stuff.
Yep.
Right. You have to do.
You're too busy running to see where you're going sometimes.
So strategy, it's very important, but it's also something that I have no time to do.
Yeah.
Right. Because I have to do the pre-press for something. I have to treat this photo or do copy, stuff like that. So I still do all that stuff because if I see something that is not good, I have to polish it, right? But yeah, next year I think things will be different, hopefully.
And what about outside of design? Is there, because I think that like Burocratik is completely solid. You guys have like a rhythm, so you might grow and there's like some things to learn. But outside of design completely, even in your life, is there any passion project you'd like to tackle?
Other than design and Burocratik and family, I have nothing.
So no prog.
No, like I said,
hardcore band that you want to start.
No, music is my hobby. I used to say that design was my hobby, and then became my profession, and music
became your hobby.
Is now, it's the hobby. So, other than collecting music and understanding the music that it's been done in the moment, I really like to dig stuff that it's coming out and it's good and promote it. It's something that I also do. Other than that, I have no time to have an agency and 2 kids
and yet another passion. And do you ever see yourself going? So if imagine that Burocratik completely failed tomorrow for some reason, everyone had to go. Would you be able to go and work for someone else?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. Yeah, I think what I am becoming as a profession is more of a strategist. So yeah, I think I can do good stuff for companies or agencies, but I haven't thought about it. Yeah.
Hopefully it won't happen, but
yeah,
I do think that once you do your own thing, it's kind of like a mindset change, and it's really hard to go back.
Yeah, it's very hard to go back. The reason why I stopped looking for opportunities is that I can do whatever I want. It's really not only the stuff that I want, but I can direct my effort to stuff that matters, stuff that doesn't matter, and go from there.
Yeah.
Working for other people or other agencies, someone decides what you have to do, right? So I think that's a problem, because what I am doing now is deciding stuff. So if I will decide for me or other, I think there's room for it, right?
Yeah.
There's room for creative direction, and because without it, also the team is solid, but if you take it away, very few people know how to do everything from beginning to the end. It's also something that I find fascinating, because when I started this, I had to realize how this could be done, how you control people to do, how you get a good illustrator, how you to connect the dots, right?
Yeah.
And that's very important. If someone, I always struggle, why does not a developer pick up and changes if he sees a typo? They don't.
Yeah,
because that's not their business.
Exactly, it's not
and
my website.
And to me, that's completely what?
Yeah.
What the fuck, man? It's a typo. Change that, right? So
yeah, if there's not a ticket for it, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, that's bullshit. That's bullshit, because in the end, the thing will be live, and someone will notice that it has a problem. So,
and it's completely on you. But I do think it's a bit of a personality thing. Like, some people just don't. They get really detached from their work, and I think being your company, it's your work.
Yeah, you have a responsibility.
In ownership as well. Yeah. It's even though a lot of people work there, at the end of the day, it's kind of your face as well. And it's been your decision, creative direction, etc.
Yeah.
What was the biggest challenge? And these are like very cliche standard questions, but what was your biggest challenge in your career, and also the best career decision?
Biggest challenge? I would say it's always the next project. Probably the most complex work that we ever done was for Unilever, a company in the UK. We worked for them, and when they came to us and say we need this, and it was completely out of our league. It was something. It's like, I need a plane. Can you build me a plane? And you say, sure, why not?
I'll look into
let's do it. Let's do it. That was the most responsible part for what we are now. Because if you always stay in your comfort zone, you'll be there forever, right? So that decision to work with Unilever, to me, was the probably the most important thing on our live studio, because everything is possible if you
actually get into it and you at least try.
Yeah. So it's very important to do stuff that it's out of your league, because you will learn a new league. You will start developing skills and yeah.
And on the other side, on the flip side of the coin, what was the best career decision?
Best career decision was to do design, I think, because if I continued to being an engineer, I know that I could do this for other stuff, right? Not just design.
Yeah.
But design is a very special field where you can, on the same day, work with 3 different mindsets into steel, food, and port, right? It's something doesn't make sense, but to me, it's what gives me fuel to hold this with a smile on the next day and come again.
Yeah.
It's every day is different, every client is different, and that's it. So yeah, I would say design was the best decision.
It's a really good answer. It's a really, really good answer. And what's the most important thing you've learned outside of design in the last couple of years?
I've never intended to be a salesman, but a designer needs to be a salesman.
Yeah.
It's important not to sell design through design. It's a completely different mindset, and you have to to make the client believe or trust you that. So yeah, I've learned a lot of stuff outside of design, social psychology or something like that, that I never thought I would go into.
Yeah.
So over the last years, that part is very important to control the client, to try to understand
Steer
how.
and, yeah.
Yeah. So that process, that learning is very, very, very important, as important as typography. If you end a project of 1 year with a client and you are still smiling with him, that's a good thing. You're not enemies or stuff
Yeah,
like that.
that's a client you want to keep around.
Yeah.
If after a year you're still feeling engaged and happy about that relationship, for sure.
Yeah.
You say on your website that and I know for a fact that you love music,
Mm-hmm.
and you say that music keeps me alive. You listen to really weird alternative styles. You mentioned you like to share it, but how big is it for you? How big is music in your life?
I would say it's bigger than design.
Okay.
It's hard to put in words, but to me, music is my partner. I need music to go along with all the rest, and that's very important, right? Music is not everything, because we have more important things like family, but I don't spend 9 hours with the family per day, right? And I spend 9 hours with music. So yeah, music is very important, and I try to be not eclectic, but I listen to very weird shit, and it's very difficult to explain what I hear, but people can follow me on Last FM and see the feed. But yeah, it's fundamental because it also interlaces with what we do. I try to now pinpoint stuff that it's good for websites or motion graphics so to me it's all connected. Music is connected to what we do, and it's hard to say the role that it has in my life, but it's pretty key.
And do you feel inspired by it as well?
Sure.
Do you have like if you're thinking about a design, about a specific brand that you're working, do you pick a specific band that kind of inspires you and goes along with that brand?
No, I don't do that connection, but I think what I try to find on music is the same that I try to find on good design. There is some guy that makes art with just glitches, and you understand what's a design that it's honest, and you see the designer that likes what he does, right? You see, and in music it's even more. Music probably is the worst job to get paid. The musicians are not paid, so they are doing that because they really like doing music, and you see people that dedicate their passion to it, right? So the musicians that I find, the new musicians that have this spark on their work, I promote them and I pick them up. This guy's good. I make a video for it, upload it to YouTube, and put it on my channel. And I started this in 2005, 10 years ago, and I found out musicians that were completely unknown back then, and now they are big, and that's good. And the musicians, I think, as a company, we are more known by designers, not just more for clients, more for designers. Designers know what we do. And the target, a lot of people say that we work for designers and not for
the clients.
Companies. Yeah. And musician is the same. The music that I promote is music for musicians and not music for the
masses.
Yeah, for the masses.
It's not Justin Bieber.
No,
but
it's not Justin Bieber.
That anyone will listen to, but it's something that artists will appreciate, the intricacies of of it.
And especially on my channel is more connected to modern classic and electronic experimental. And it's basically one guy in a room doing good stuff, and years later they are doing special effects on a film or stuff like that. So a good example is Hank, the guy from Germany, and I forgot his name, and he was doing sounds for Flash, right? Sounds that
So those rollovers, those boop,
yeah,
and bop.
and nowadays he's doing films soundtracks, right? So yeah, people have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that sparkle on the music, on some musicians, it's the metric that I have for my uploads. It needs to be, I need to like it, right? Like the design that I deliver, I need to like what I am putting. And I went to some musicians that saw the channel and said, look, this is my music, promote it. But that's not how things work. This is not good enough, but it's not my train of thought. Yeah. So yeah, I think I have the same philosophy behind everything on my life. I need to have value on something, on doing, and when I find value on a musician that it's not well known, I promote it. Yeah.
So if you, I see like and this is more of an hypothetical question, but I see that you have, as you said, you need value and you want something to be really good and good quality. If you were paid tomorrow, offered to do a really crappy website, and you were paid a big amount of money for it, would you take it?
It depends. It depends.
You wouldn't have you wouldn't be able to turn it around and make it look good because it had like really specific brand guidelines that made it look like sucked. Like not bad, but mediocre, like average.
You want me to say no? I can't say
no. No, I want you to be honest. I absolutely want you to be honest. Like
when
I
you
would
have
take the money.
When you have a company, it depends on your cash flow, right? I would say that never happened to us. We always did what we wanted, and we are now working with some agencies that has this, like I said, brand guidelines that you really can't change anything, and that's frustrating, right? When you see something that it just needs a touch here and touch there, or the colors, but you can't change that. So I would say those works are not our core. So I can say no to that. We wouldn't do it.
That's good. It's again, it's an amazing position where you are, where you get to clients come to you and you get to cherry pick the projects you want to work on and still be profitable and have a big team and win awards and go home knowing that you've done the best work you could. Yeah, it's a really good position to be in.
Yeah, it's not. All this is not. This is a very stressful job.
Yeah,
I get home every day with a feeling of why the fuck do I care? Because that's it. I care, and I can't deliver stuff that it's not good enough, or at least solves the problem. So that's a problem. That's a problem for companies that don't need it. So I always try to get clients that really need what we can do for them. So yeah, but it's frustrating, I would say. But again, you have to sleep 8 hours, and the next day everything is fine.
It's a new day, and it's a new opportunity to do some good work. Yeah. Well, Adriano, thank you very much. It was really, really nice to chat with you. I feel like we could do another one of these just by focusing on a lot of more details, and definitely on music as well. Yeah,
it was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for having us, Adriano. It was great to see you again and to have this chat. And I really enjoyed learning a bit more about his background, and I'm really looking forward to see how Burocratik grows over the next couple of years. I'll leave all of these links in the video description and podcast description, but if you want to find more about Adrian, you can find him on Twitter at Adriano Esteves, and his website is adrianoesteves.com. You can learn more about Burocratik at burocratik.com and follow them on Twitter and Instagram at Burocratik. Listen to more Layer Podcast episodes on layerpodcast.com and send us a message and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Layer Podcast. As always, if you'd like to reach out with any guest suggestions, feedback, or even partnerships, you can email us on hello@layerpodcast.com. To watch the video version of this podcast, you can go to layerpodcast.com/YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.